Make me a cinematic car video. Here's how to film a cinematic car video. First things first, make sure it's JDM vibes. If you don't have a JDM car, then go find one to borrow. If you do have a JDM car but it doesn't look the part, well, you're screwed. You either need to spend a couple $1,000s getting some nice wheels, lowering it, maybe even getting a wing, or just leave. It is and pick a different route that isn't so hilly, because if your car scrapes the ground like mine did today, you won't be able to keep up with me. Now that you have a car that looks somewhat decent, you want to make sure that you have good lighting. We started off the day at around 4 p.m. because I wanted to catch the golden hour light, which happens right after sunrise and right before sunset. It's when the sun isn't too harsh and everything looks super soft and warm. This means no Steadicam and definitely no drone shots unless you can fly it properly. This is what I mean by using natural elements to help frame your subject. So instead of having the camera up here, get down on your level and shoot upwards. Use the rule of thirds to help place where the horizon should be, and do not forget to take advantage of leading lines to help draw the viewer's eyes through the shot. You don't want to show up somewhere and just start walking around aimlessly, because you end up wasting a lot of time, and you probably and get any good shots. Look up locations beforehand and scout them out to see how they look, and if you can get permission to shoot there. Purple glows are a great way to add a touch of class to your video. You can easily do this by adding an overlay in post-production. Or you can do it manually by adding a purple vignette and then lowering the opacity. Instead, you want to use smooth transitions like fades and dips to seamlessly flow from one shot to the next. This will help keep the viewer engaged, and it'll make the video feel more polished. Either way, you want to make sure that it's subtle, because you don't want it to be too over the top. For example, here I use this tree to help frame the shot. This can be something simple, like a slight tint of blue or green, or something more drastic like a purple or pink hue. It all depends on the look that you're going for. I personally like to keep it subtle because I feel like it adds a touch of class. This means having a low f-stop on your lens, which will blur out the background and bring more attention to your subject. Make sure you have enough light to properly expose the shot, though a little bit of motion blur is fine. But you don't want it to be so blurry that you can't make out any details. Panning is a great way to get smooth footage without having to increase the shutter speed. Panning is when you move your camera from left to right or right to left to follow the motion of your subject. Doing this will eliminate most of the unwanted motion blur in the background. But you still want to keep a little bit in the shot, because it will help add a sense of motion. Because if you have too little light, your camera will have to raise the ISO or lower the shutter speed to compensate. And both of these options aren't ideal. Raising the ISO will add more noise to your image, and lowering the shutter speed will make your image blurry if you are not shooting at a fast enough shutter anyways. Or here I used this wall. Try not to be too literal with your compositions. Instead of having the car always dead center, try placing it off to one side and let negative space do the talking. The best way to film a car is to use natural elements as a frame within a frame. So trees, buildings, walls, anything that can lead the viewer's eyes to where they should be looking. For example, here I used this wall to lead the viewer's eyes to the car, or here I used this tree to help frame the shot. Try not to be too literal with your compositions. Instead of having the car always dead center, try placing it off to one side and let negative space do the talking. This time of day makes everything look better, and it also gives us a little bit of that natural contrast to separate the shadows from the light. We headed back home after shooting all these shots, and I left my camera at home because I didn't think I needed it. Then I remembered that I forgot a very important lens, the 16mm, so I had to head back out again. Thankfully, my friend stayed cool and waited another 30 minutes while I ran home and grabbed my camera gear. Next, you want to make sure that you put some effort into the camera angles. A lot of the shots that I got were wide-angle shots. You want to shoot from low to high. Viewers are always going to connect more with shots that they can relate to. Another thing that helps sell the cinematic look is using a shallow depth of field. So next, you want to make sure that you have a game plan. I love filming cars and motorcycles because the motion blur is so satisfying. That being said, you want to make sure that you don't overdo it. Next, you want to make sure that you have some nice purple glows in there. In addition to purple glows, you can also try adding some color grading. One last thing that I think really helps sell the cinematic look is having a smooth and gradual transition between shots. This means no quick cuts or jumpy edits. That's it. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and film your own epic car video. Here's the bloopers reel.